many times on some pieces of equipment, older pieces of equipment or equipment that was already set up to maybe talk to an Omron CJ PLC. Use something called FINS, Factory Intelligent Network Service, and that's a protocol by Omron, and that protocol is an address-based protocol. So if you were trying to talk to an NJ or an NX, they are tag-based PLCs. So you've got to come up with a way for the FINS. There is a way to set up the NJ or NX to talk via FINS. So the way you set that up to give FINS addresses to the NJ or NX PLCs, we're going to go through right now. So the first thing you do is go configuration and setup, then go to operation settings, and we're going to add a routing table. Now that's a FINS routing table, and basically you're just setting a network number based on a certain one of the ports. So port 250 is the first Ethernet port on the PLC of a NX102. So we're going to make that network 1. That's an arbitrary number from 1 to 255. So, but we're going to do 1. Okay, so that's set up. Now we'll go into the built-in Ethernet port IP settings. And of course you can see that's the first card. That's the one we're going to be setting it up. We'll go down to this next to the last tab, or next to the last button. We'll click that for FIN settings. We don't need this one. So we'll look the last octet of an IP address, so 192.168.250.1. The 1 is used as the FINS node number as well. Now if we turn on combination or IP address, that lets us set that, so we could set that number different than the last octet if we wanted to. This is also good if you can't use the 192.168 type Class C addressing. If you have to use Class B or Class A addressing, something that starts with 10.10, something like that, then you would need to use either combination or IP address, since you can't use the automatic generation. This automatic generation is pretty much for Class C type addressing, to automatically take the last octet and make it the FINS node address. So we're going to leave it for now in automatic generation, and so that should be set up. There's nothing to add. Now if we did have to do combination or IP address, we put the things we're going to be talking to or the client addresses here. So if we were going to talk to a drive via FINS or some other device or another PLC via FINS, we could actually put those addresses here and put their node number, put their IP address and their FINS node number here, and set that up, including a C-series PLC. So that's pretty much the FINS setup. This thing is ready to go. We're going to leave it back in automatic, and we're going to do the FINS setup. The next part is to set up the we got to turn on the memory, because the NX102 uses is a tag-based PLC. Well, FINS is an address-based protocol. So we go to memory settings, and boom, we see memory similar to what we would see in the CJ. It's turned off, but we can turn some on. So we're going to turn on some work area memory, and we're going to turn on some DM area memory, and that's all we need for now. We'll just turn on those two. Work area is retained or non-retained, and it can be bit addressed, where the DM area is pretty much a word address. So we've turned on memory, so that's ready. And the last thing we have to do is we have to set up tags to take advantage of this. So we'll go down to Data, Global Variables, and I've got a program in here that's got a little bit of things going on, just start, stop, and running a counter. And so we're going to look at these addresses here, and we're going to kind of set them up to be able to use that. So over here in the AT section is where we're going to do that. So that's a Boolean address. So we're going to make that start we're going to go %WR0.0. Let's see, there's a W. Yeah, W0.0, sorry. And and same thing here, and that's a Boolean address. We'll go percent %w 0.1, and motor, we'll make that percent %w 0.2. So we're actually given these CJ type addresses so that a device looking at it remotely will see these addresses. The PLC internally will just be using these addresses, these tags on the left, but the like the drive or whatever would be seeing the addresses only via fins. So like set point is an integer, so we might do that. It might be a percent %d0, and that needs to be set to retain. And elapsed time, we might make that percent %d1, because they're just straight integers, they only take one word, and that is also retained. And so we can look in that address anytime. And so we'll do percent %d2. So that's the setup of the memory, so that over fins, the remote fins device sees these addresses and sends and receives to these addresses, and they correspond to these tags in the NX102. So that's the way you can talk via fins from a third-party device that uses addresses only, at least via fins it does, to talk to a PLC that's tag-based if it's the NJ, so or NJ or NX. So you can do that here, and that's the setup to do the fins communication, and that's it.